Best-selling author Leif Enger was born in 1961 in Sauk Center, Minnesota. A graduate of Moorhead State University, Enger worked as a reporter and producer for the Minnesota Public Radio program Main Street Radio for 16 years before the success of his debut novel, Peace Like a River. Writing with his brother Lynn under the pen name L.L. Enger, Enger also co-wrote 5 mystery novels about a retired baseball player named Gun Pedersen in the early 1990s. He currently lives on a 56-acre farm near Aiken, Minnesota, with his wife Robin and his sons Ty and John. We invite you now to spend an evening with the best-selling author of Peace Like a River, Leif Enger.
Thank you. Wow, thanks for coming out. It's fun to see some people in the Fargo Theater, and those of you joining us on radio and television. I feel obligated to tell you that the Twins are playing the Red Sox in Fenway Park, just a few channels over. But it's fun to get a chance to come and speak in this beautiful place. When I was going to school over at Moorhead State a number of years ago, I didn't know about the Fargo Theater until probably my junior year. So I only made it over here a few times, but it was really memorable. I remember seeing Frankenstein here. I remember seeing Dracula here. I think we saw Harold and Maude in this theater. But more than the movies, I remember the way it made me feel to come to this theater, which was sort of privileged and bohemian and cool, which I wasn't used to. Old theaters will do that for you. I went to a movie once in a small town in Florida. Before the lights dimmed, just before the picture, the owner of the theater walked down in front. And this was in a little beat-up town, a town where the times had not been kind. And it was a truly crummy old theater. It had leaks in the roof, it had buzzing light fixtures, and it had probably bats in the curtains. But the owner was putting everything he had into it. He was trying to remake it. He was buying new seats a row at a time, I remember. He was investing in Art Deco, painting the walls. And it was taking him forever because everybody in that town figured that the theater was washed up and had no future. Nevertheless, this guy, and he was a young guy, he was probably an English major, walked down and stood in front, down in the theater, down by the silver screen, and he said a thing I never forgot. He said, "Welcome to my theater." I thought that was the coolest thing I'd ever heard anyone say, "Welcome to my theater." And then he went on to introduce the film, which was White Men Can't Jump. A little letdown, huh? I don't remember a single scene from that movie. It was a waste of time, and yet that guy gave that movie a loving introduction, just like Walt Disney used to do every Sunday night before whatever animal picture he was about to show. This guy loved his theater, he loved his place, and he loved it that stories got told in his place every night at 7 and 9 o'clock. Some of the stories were good, and some of them were White Men Can't Jump. And I've wondered about that guy ever since. It wasn't the greatest scheme. For all I know, he lost his place and his shirt and his wife and his kids, but for a while, he had what must have been the real pleasure of walking on stage and saying every night, "Welcome to my theater." It's like saying something good might happen tonight. At the very least, a tale is going to be told. This is my brother Lynn Enger, who is a college professor and who could probably still take me and put me on the ground with ease if he had to. I grew up on the ground a good deal of the time because Lynn was putting me there, and I don't think I ever caught up.
Well, this is my brother Leif, who's 5 years younger than I am. You probably heard of him. He wrote a novel called Peace Like a River, which a lot of people have read. And before that, he was just my little brother. And we spent a lot of time as kids tromping around in the woods and shooting .22s, and we both played the trumpet. And he's one of the people in this world I'm closest to.
Who are those guys? They're really big. As you can tell, Lynn and I are naturals in front of the camera. We're as comfortable as only a couple Norwegians know how to be. Here's a story. Around the end of the Carter administration, I was over at Morehead State. I was taking writing classes from Mark Vins, substituting coffee for sleep, and trying to catch the eye of a girl in the lunch line at Kesey Commons. I loved school, I really did. But the girl is by far my most vivid memory of freshman year. She was an art major. I will say more about her later. I picked Morehead State in the first place because it was close to home and because Lynn had gone there and because it offered the opportunity for hardship. The hardship was very important. When your parents are North Dakotans who grew up during the Great Depression, you understand two things very early. First, you have it easy. Second, you don't get character by having it easy. This is why I never thought about going to college in California, besides the money. I wanted some hardship. Lynn went to Morehead State, and he got some hardship. I wanted some too. For example, one year Lynn and some friends were living off campus in a house, and I went to stay with them for a weekend. I was 16, it was January, and the house never got warmer than 50 degrees. They would have liked some heat. They all said so. They said we'd like some heat, but heat's expensive, they couldn't afford it. And so I had brought along a duffel bag with a hooded sweatshirt and an extra pair of pants. No long johns. Long johns were not cool. I didn't believe in long johns at the time. Mom put them out for me before I left, but I left them at home on my bed. So I emptied the duffel. First night I was there, and I put everything on. The sweatshirt, the pants. I wore double clothes the whole weekend. I never took anything off. If there would have been a way to wear the duffel, I would have done that. The first night I remember thinking, I can't wait to go to bed so I can wrap up in all the blankets and get warm. Here's what happened. They gave me the hide-a-bed in the living room. It had a little pad on it. It wasn't a mattress. It didn't even aspire to be a mattress. Under the pad was the crossbar for which all hide-a-beds are justly famous. The pad was so thin I could not only feel the bar, I could guess the temperature of the bar. Somewhere in the low 40s. On top of the mattress was one blanket. If you ever stayed in a $20 motel, you know that blanket. I waited until everyone was asleep, and then I got up and I went through that big house. I looked in every closet I could find. It was a very big house. There was not an extra blanket. I took the cushions off the living room chairs, the furniture, and I propped them into a tent above my body. And I laid there and thought about my long johns. There's a condition called hypothermia, where you get so cold your brain starts to malfunction. At 3 in the morning, I thought very hard about building a fire. Just a little fire. If I'd been able to find any matches, neither Lynn or I would be here tonight. About 7 o'clock, I heard the guys getting up. And I thought, now they're gonna go in the kitchen and make some coffee. I thought, I'll go in the kitchen, I'll have some coffee, and the coffee will make me warm. Here's what happened. I went in the kitchen and all the guys were in there, eating cereal, cold cereal. They were not making coffee. I said, say fellows, do you think we should make some coffee? One of them replied, we would like to, but the stove doesn't work. This story is almost entirely true. One weekend, and already I had a tale of hardship. Already Morehead State looked appealing. I said, how can I get warm? And Lynn said, have some cereal. So I did that, because what else could I do? They had one kind of cereal. It was King Vitamin. I remember pouring milk over that bowl of King Vitamin. The milk was icy. I couldn't feel the spoon. I knew this was the place for me. So I came to the Red River Valley, and right away, good things began to happen. I made some friends, and they were funny and cool like Lynn's friends. And classes were fun, and there were old movies every week at the theater in Weld Hall. And I met the art major in the lunch line. And this girl loved watercolors and drawings and architecture and books. And she walked around Morehead and Fargo taking pictures of great old buildings. I went along because what else could I do? These were not dates. They were class assignments. This girl did not want a boyfriend just then. She told me so in plain English. She told me dating would ruin our friendship. I had no idea what she was talking about. But I didn't care as long as I could hang out with her, and there were a lot of great old buildings in Fargo and Morehead. And there were a lot of cheap movies. We went to movies every week at Weld Hall on the MSU campus because you could get in there for 25 cents and because Weld Hall itself was a cool old building. Afterward, we would stop by the Student Union and buy toast. If you bought 2 pieces of toast and paid for them, you could get unlimited peanut butter. We would sit there together and have toast. I later found out from Lynn he had done the same thing. Though I was not her boyfriend at that time, from a distance it looked like I was. And I was aware of this contradiction. I was in the acute and specific torment enjoyed by all English majors. Some really terrible poetry came out of that experience. English majors are haunted by notions of chivalry and romance. It's kind of our job. Also, like many English majors, I had no idea what could be done with an English major, but I had to get one because of romance. Weld Hall was a magnet to me. It was a magnet covered with ivy and full of interesting teachers. Mark Vins and Rufus Bellamy and Mary Pryor. English teachers have no idea of the trouble they cause. Mary Pryor stood in front of the class on the first day, as I recall, and read us the first part of a narrative poem called Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Who remembers this story? Anybody? There are some, yeah, quite a few. It's a good story. King Arthur and his knights are eating and drinking. It's kind of the old banquet scene, you know, flagons and wolfhounds on the floor fighting over the scraps, having a great time. And all of a sudden, in rides a mysterious knight wearing green armor and holding an axe. And he starts giving Arthur and the boys a hard time, kind of questioning their manhood and laughing at their clothes. And they don't know what to make of this guy, because if he was evil, he'd be a black knight. Or a red knight, maybe, but he's green. It's very confusing. And he seems really powerful, and he seems really wild. And after a few minutes roasting Arthur and the knights, he invites them to play a game. And he says, okay, the strongest of you guys, take my axe and strike me a blow anywhere you want. And if I die, you win the game. But if I live, you have to come to my castle a year from today, and I'll take the axe and deal you a blow in return. So Sir Gawain jumps up, and he grabs the axe, and he deals the guy a terrific blow and beheads the Green Knight right there with one blow. And the head falls off and rolls across the floor, down past the hounds. Everybody at the banquet table is craning over to see it. And finally it stops, but the Green Knight's body doesn't fall. What it does is it walks over and feels around on the floor until it finds the head. And then it picks it up, and it holds the head up in the air, and the head speaks. And the head says, well struck. Well struck. Nice hit, says the head. I expect to see you at my place 1 year from today. And the Green Knight rides away on his horse. And that is where Mary Prior left the story. She left it right there. She meant to make us see that just because literature is old doesn't mean it's dull. I skipped my next class and went and read the rest of the story at the library. And this is what all the best teachers do, I think. They say, get ready to be changed. They say something great is going to happen. We have for you Shakespeare and Milton and Dickens and Frost. We have Le Morte d'Arthur right here in the Red River Valley of the North. The best teachers are always saying, welcome to my theater. So that night, the girl from the lunch line went to a Weld Hall movie with me, and while we waited for it to start, I told her the story of the Green Knight. I told her I wanted to be a writer, and she told me she had a poet ancestor back in England named Thomas Wyatt. Thomas Wyatt was a court poet during the reign of Henry VIII. Nobody reads his poetry anymore. But a few people remember Thomas Wyatt as the guy who got Anne Boleyn in so much trouble with Henry. I have no idea whether that's true. You'd think a court poet would know better than to get mixed up with one of Henry's wives. Some stories can only end one way.
At first, I thought, this is going to be a sad book. I'm not going to read it. Well, but I went on, and I did enjoy every bit of it.
I feel so bad for Rube, because then he always feels like he's not an honorable person because he's tried to do the honorable thing and gets caught.
I liked the way it was written from the kids' point of view. Mm-hmm. It really made take you back to your own childhood and how you dealt with your siblings.
The word tough is described for Reuben. I also think that theme should also be as formidable as well.
I enjoyed the part, the road trip, getting ready with the Airstream and all that.
Okay. What in particular struck you about that trip?
I don't know, just have an Airstream I thought was just really neat.
Those children had needed a mother figure. And finally, Swede wasn't responsible for the whole family and the whole, I kind of rejoiced for Swede at that point.
Yeah. Well, this was really fun. I learned a lot. And it's interesting because, I think the way most, I don't know, I shouldn't say, I'll speak for myself. The way I work as a writer or a storyteller is not really with an outline or with much academic understanding of what is going on. E.B. White, the great essayist, once said, I write with very little knowledge of what's going on under the hood. I know what he means. I just am trying to make readers, in this case, my kids and my wife, who are my primary audience, just lean forward and want to know what's happening next. That was really my sole objective, was just to tell a good story. And so all this, a lot of this comes as a real surprise to me, and yet I'm really delighted by it. I didn't have very many of these things in my mind.
Now there we disagree.
Well, they were in there, but I didn't know about them. I am supposed now to talk about the origins of the book. So I think maybe the thing to do here is to read a little bit from it, and then talk about it. So I'll just read a short scene from early on. Goose hunting scene. Before dawn, we settled among decoys in one of August's barley fields. Dad and Swede lay on their elbows side by side, the two of them whispering under a swath. Davy and I took the opposite flank, he with his clawed-up Winchester goose gun. I was too young to shoot, of course, and so was Swede. We were there purely, as she said, for the seasoning. In all the years since, I don't remember a colder morning afield. Rain can out-freeze snow. We lay between soaked ground and soaked swaths with a December-smelling wind coming over our backs. As the sky lightened, we heard geese chuckling on the refuge away to the east. The ragdacoys puffed and fluttered. I yawned once, then again, so hard my ears crackled. Davy said, "Don't go to sleep on me now, buddy." He could say it, he wasn't cold. Though his gloves were nothing but yellow cotton, he could handle an icy shotgun in evident comfort. I had on his outgrown leather mitts with 2 pair of wool liners, yet my fingers were clenched and bloodless. It seemed to get colder as the day came on. When Davy said softly, "Old Rube, I could live out here, couldn't you?" I was too frozen to tell him yes. Minutes later I woke. Davy was poking me in the side. Fingers to his lips, he nodded east. A lone snow goose was approaching, fighting the wind, making low questioning honks at our flock of rags. I put my face against the ground, trying not to move. A goose is an easy bird to spook. The loner's honks got louder and more confident as it decided to land for breakfast. It was utterly fooled. I'd actually started feeling sorry for the doomed bird when Davy grabbed my shoulder and spun me so I lay on my back. He jammed the Winchester into my hands. "Take him, Rube." The goose was straight overhead, not 20 feet high. I flung off a mitten and tried to aim. The gun was way too big, but I balanced it out there and yanked the trigger. Nothing happened. Something was stuck, and then Davy's hand zipped out and clicked the safety off. The goose was just beyond us, but still so close I could hear its panting wings. I yanked again, shot wild, and the recoil slammed my shoulder into the mud. My ears rang high and clear, and the goose finally understood and tilted off to the left while I pumped another shell into the chamber and fired again. The goose still didn't fold, but caught the wind and sailed over the barley like a kite. Tears were in my eyes. I'd missed 2 easy shots and wasted Davy's present to me. Blind with despair, I fired again. The goose had to be out of range, yet somehow it shuddered, went graceless, and made a controlled fall to the ground some 80 yards away. "You did it," Davy said. "Good shot. You took him the hard way, buddy. Better go finish him." But as I handed him the gun, almost sobbing with relief, Swede streaked past in her corduroy coat, yelling, "I'll get him, I'll get him." And Davy said, let her chase the old bird down." So I watched her go, yellow hair bouncing behind her stocking cap. Downfield, though, the goose seemed to have recovered its wits. It stood upright, taking stock, its head so high and perky I feared it might take off and fly after all. When it saw Swede coming, it turned and sprinted away. I'm telling you, that goose could run. Seeing this, Swede lowered her head and went full steam, mud and chaff raining off her boot soles. Dad started laughing, whipping off his cap and whacking it on his leg while the goose stretched out its neck and bolted across the barley. Reaching the end of the field, it encountered a barbed wire fence. It stopped and turned as Swede closed in. Did you ever see an angry goose up close? It's a different bird from those you've watched flying south or waddling in city parks. An adult goose in a wrathful mood can stand up and look a third grader right in the eye. And that's what this fellow did to Swede. She got within a yard and stopped cold. She had seen Dad wring a few goosenecks and understood the technique. But those had been badly wounded, pathetic creatures. They'd seemed almost grateful to get it done with. This goose still owned its spirit. Later, Swede told me she felt numb, standing there with her hand out. The goose had one blind, clouded eye, plenty eerie in itself. But Swede said the good eye was worse. She looked into that good eye and saw a decision being reached. It decided to kill me, she said. Well, it would have been around 1968 that we drove one night from Osakis, Minnesota to Oaks, North Dakota. Probably a Friday night, probably after a football game for a hunting trip. Dad was a band director, so we often headed out late after football games. But we were out in a field one morning that weekend, down near Oaks waiting for geese, and it was so cold. This would have been Dad and Lynn and Lee and me. And they all seemed warm and happy to be out in a cold field waiting for geese. But also they had guns and hunting licenses. I didn't have a gun or a license, and I was cold and wished I was back in bed. But Dad encouraged me to come along for the experience. When I was 7, experience was a synonym for really, really cold. I don't remember who shot that goose. It's probably Dad. I do remember that Dad told me to go get it, and it came drifting down like a wounded goose does, and made a hard landing by a fence row. And so we all thought, if it was still alive, it was probably discouraged at the very least. What I mostly remember is the way my feet and my legs felt running across that field. It was so cold, all the blood had gone out of my feet. It was like running on bricks, just 2 bricks, clunk, clunk. But finally I got down to the fence row, and that goose stood up out of the tall weeds. And it looked healthy, it didn't look hurt at all. And I remember thinking, that is a very tall bird. In the book, Davy grabs the goose as it runs past chasing Swede, but I think in real life the goose got away. I've been trying to remember this. It chased me a ways and then it got up and flew, I think. Lynn probably could have shot it, but I was probably between him and the goose. Is that how it went? I think it was. The book is not all that autobiographical. Just about the whole thing is completely made up. But that seemed like the sort of thing that was likely to happen in North Dakota. When you're a kid, your own history seems universal to you. And because North Dakota was the extent of my travels until I was pretty old, North Dakota represented kind of the exotic version of reality to me. We'd go stay with our grandparents, and life was different there. The landscape was different. It looked like something from another age, kind of. Minnesota had big blue lakes. North Dakota had little brown rivers. Minnesota had forests. North Dakota had shelter belts. Also in North Dakota, you could see people coming from a long way off. And in Minnesota, you could not. People could sneak up on you. And the reason this is important is because I think we always felt, at least us boys always felt, that someday we might have to get away from somebody. We might have to escape pursuit. A thrilling idea we got from Gunsmoke and Bonanza and probably Daniel Boone. On Gunsmoke, there was always a guy passing through trying to get to a border. If they could reach the border, they'd be okay. Nobody would be looking for them on the other side of that border. And North Dakota was the closest border we had, and things did seem a lot wilder and less predictable over on the other side of the line in our limited experience. For one thing, Grandpa Enger wore a nightshirt to bed. That was a clear indication that he was an historical figure. He had a little light that was shaped like a candle. There were batteries in it. He kept it by the side of his bed, and when he picked it up, it would go on by itself. There was nothing more startling than getting up in the night to go to the bathroom, go downstairs and see Grandpa walking through the house in his nightshirt, holding that candle in front of him. That sort of thing didn't happen in Minnesota. There were other things. There were signs and wonders. In Minnesota, we had characters, but they weren't extreme like the ones in North Dakota. During hunting season, Dad would take us to visit old bachelors who lived on poached deer butchered in their living rooms, or the man who maintained what he said was the largest collection of wrenches in the world. He had a couple buildings full of wrenches, nicely organized, plus a boxcar. He was a very interesting and nice guy. When we left, he took a huge wooden wrench off his wall and gave it to us. It was painted black. It must have been somebody's store display. It was wood. It wasn't real. But it was a huge wood wrench, about 3 or 4 feet long. I couldn't believe he would be so generous. We put that wrench in our trunk, and when we were driving home that night, back to Minnesota, Dad stopped the car because the biggest snapping turtle he had ever seen was crossing the road. It was a huge turtle. Dad has always loved big turtles. So we all got out of the car to look at it. We wanted to watch it cross the road, but it wouldn't move. It wouldn't cross the road as long as we were standing there. And Dad said we couldn't leave because he was sure that if we did leave, somebody else would drive along and throw the turtle in the trunk of their car and go home and make soup out of it. And we didn't want that on our consciences. So Dad opened the trunk and got out that big wrench. And he carried it out front of the car and offered one end of it to the turtle. And the turtle grabbed on and took a good hold, the way a snapping turtle will. And Dad dragged him off into the tall weeds beside the road, where he couldn't be seen by hungry drivers. We had to wait a long time for the turtle to let go of the wrench. But it was worth it. It was worth it because his beak had dug way into the wood, way into the soft pine, and you should have seen the marks it left. The wrench was worth 100 times more to me than it would have been without those marks, because most of my friends in Minnesota had never seen a snapping turtle, let alone a gigantic snapping turtle. So I not only had a great story, but I had those marks. I had proof. I don't know how much sense this makes to a North Dakota audience, frankly. If somebody came to Aiken from North Dakota and started waxing poetic about the magical properties of Minnesota, I would no doubt laugh. But I think this is what kids do. It's what all kids do. You take your past and you build it around stuff that's partly true and partly mythical, and then you kind of stick with that. Besides, it doesn't look to me like the field is really crowded with a lot of people, trying to get out in the spotlight and romanticize North Dakota, so I'm going to give it my best shot. So Minnesota seemed like a place that maybe once, a long time ago, had giants in the earth. But if you wanted to see where giants still lived, you had to go a few miles west. When I was 4, I believed Grandpa Enger was a buffalo. I knew he was a man, but I also thought he was a buffalo. Mom had read me the old Indian creation story about the buffalo who comes out of the hillside. And that seemed likely to me to have been my grandpa. He had that heavy bison head. I could picture him walking through his fields with his head kind of swinging back and forth, looking east, looking west. It was clear to me that Grandpa had big medicine, a phrase I got from Gunsmoke. It was also clear that his big medicine probably came from living in a place where big medicine was more or less required. When we stayed at the farm in North Dakota, we heard stories about neighbors who froze to death in blizzards, men who couldn't make it from the house to the barn, in these terrible blizzards. We heard about snow plows that might eventually make it to your house, but it might take days. You had to have big medicine to live in a place like that. I, on the other hand, had very small medicine. Partly because I was 4, but also because I lived in Minnesota, where things were easy. In Minnesota, somebody was always looking out for you. That's how it seemed. You could even see it in the way people looked. Minnesotans didn't look the same as North Dakotans. They weren't as angular. This is what I thought as a kid. There were a lot of angular farm wives in North Dakota. The men looked burnt and the women looked angular. The kids were funny and tough and started driving when they were 12. In Minnesota, kids drove when they turned 16 after state-approved courses. In Minnesota, women were not angular and men looked like teachers. Husbands and wives both looked a little rounder in Minnesota. They looked a little softer, probably a little happier. They looked like people who got up in the morning and read the paper over coffee in their comfortable kitchens. They had Fords in the driveway and green grass in their yards, and on summer mornings there would be dew on the green grass. You get spoiled by dew on the grass. When Lynn and I used to pitch our tent in the backyard in Minnesota, we'd open the tent flaps in the morning and crawl out on our hands and our feet. You kept your knees up so that you wouldn't soak your pant legs with the dew on the grass. When we pitched the tent at the farm in North Dakota, we didn't worry about dew. We worried about cuts. We kept our knees up because the grass was sharp. It was angular like the women. My grandpa liked to draw cartoons. He was good at it. He drew a cartoon of a tough old farmer and his wife. The wife is holding a watering can, and she's looking fondly at a rugged little plant growing up out of the parched soil. The plant looks fairly healthy because the wife has just watered it. And she is saying to her husband, "I know it's only a thistle, but ain't it nice to grow something?" History and failure, I guess, is where the book comes from. In 1977, I was an undergrown wallflower defeated by plain and solid geometry. I didn't mind high school. I had some good friends, but everybody wants to shine in some way, preferably in athletics, the usual venue for teenage glory. However, there were some obstacles for me, like being short and weak and nearsighted and uncoordinated. I did play the trumpet, but with more desire than talent. But I could read well. And there was a great English teacher in Osakis named Mrs. Synott. One day I was leaving her class and she asked whether I'd ever thought about writing a novel. I said, "Mrs. Synott, I'm 16. She said, "All right, but I liked your essay." The essay she meant was about a classmate of mine. I was at Mom and Dad's house last year and I actually found the essay in a pile of papers, which is what brought this whole thing to mind. There was absolutely nothing to this essay. It had no point. In the essay, the classmate gets drunk after a football game on a Friday night and he drives home and is stopped by the town cop on the way. It's very straightforward expository prose, trust me. The cop asks the kid to step out and the kid does so. He stands to his full height, very tall. He looks up at the moon and stars and pukes like a lawn sprinkler. The essay did have a point, and the point was that I got to use that phrase. Mrs. Synott said, "The idea is a little thin, but I liked your use of detail." So what's good about the backdrop of failure is that the smallest encouragement just stands out like neon. The rest of that day, I dreamed a new future. I would go home that night and start a novel. I would complete it within the year. The book would be snapped up by Random House. Fame, wealth, Time magazine, girls would abandon football players for me. It was a great dream. But then there's also a great Lyle Lovett song that says, "I went to high school and I was not popular. Now I am older and it don't matter." 1981, I married the art major. We were halfway through school at the time. And marriage is always a shock. And one of the things that shocked Robin was that from time to time I would go into the bedroom by myself and shut the door. She knew I was in there writing and she didn't like it. It seemed like an unfriendly pursuit. And I would say, "But love, I am serious about this." If there was one thing I was sure about, it was that fiction writers were serious. There were a dozen of us in creative writing, and we were all serious. And we were all writing basically the same serious story. Stories about super talented young writers who die young and are mourned by beautiful women. Everybody writes one sometime. At some point during the class, it occurred to me that we were really there to learn how to fail. And this is what brought that to my attention. We'd been writing stories for a number of weeks, and several of us began sending our stories out to magazines, hoping lightning would strike. It didn't strike. The magazines didn't want our stories. But 3 or 4 of us in the class started to carry with us, in our pockets, rejection letters from the magazines. So I'd be leaning around the English department, Salvation Army suit coat, desperate little mustache, and one of the other serious writers would walk in and I'd say, "Hey, ¿qué pasa?" A little Spanish. And he'd say, "Oh man, nothing good, nothing good." But the way he said it, you knew he was totally at peace with the world. He was utterly content. He was happy. He'd say, "They didn't want my story." And he'd pull out of his pocket a bit of paper, which you could tell looking at it had been handled like a love note, folded and refolded. He'd give me the paper so I could read it for myself, and it would always say something like, "Dear blank, Thank you for your submission. We do not find that your story meets our needs at this time. Good luck with your writing, however. Thank you for thinking of the New Yorker. With kind regards. And I'd say, hey, it's not bad. You got rejected by the New Yorker. And look, doesn't meet our needs at this time. It's not bad. College taught me to fail in 100 small ways. So when my brother Lynn called and suggested we write a mystery novel together, I was prepared to fail on a much larger scale. Here's a funny story. Lynn knew it was funny before I did. It was 1986. Robin and I had been married 5 years. Life was easy and inexpensive. And one day I got a letter from Lynn. And he said, did you know the mystery novel has entered a golden age? I didn't know it. Lynn knew it because he had read about the golden age of the mystery novel in Publishers Weekly. He said, we better write one. We should get in on this. Well, in 1986, I hadn't even read a mystery novel. But Lynn had read 2 or 3. I called him on the phone and he said, Leif, I've read Robert B. Parker. How hard can this be? So we wrote one together, and it was the most fun I ever had. We studied Robert Parker really, really hard. We figured out his ingredients. We figured out that to sell a lot of copies of a mystery novel, we needed a couple of beautiful women. We needed 3 or 4 long fist fight scenes, and we needed a little gourmet cooking. We cranked out that story in about 3 months. And it got batted around New York for about 3 years, and finally Pocket Books bought it. Now at this time, Pocket Books was publishing a lot of paperback original mysteries. They had heard about the Golden Age too. So they were taking all kinds of chances on unproven mystery writers, trying to find the next Robert Parker. And we figured we were him. We used to look over the Pocket Books stable of mystery writers. They sent out a catalog every 3 or 4 months. We loved to look through that catalog because it confirmed our feeling that our books couldn't fail to rise to the top. We'd get out the pocketbook catalog every year and we'd say, look at that poor dope writing the police procedurals. I won't use the writer's real name. Let's call him Art Slaughter. We felt sorry for Art Slaughter. Police procedurals, what a bore. We had a better thing going than that. We were writing about a 6'6", 240-pound retired Detroit Tiger named Gun Peterson. Nobody alive could beat him up, although people tried in every book. Once a year, we'd come out with a new Gun Peterson mystery, and once a year, Art Slaughter would come out with a new police procedural. There he'd be in the Pocket Books catalog, and Lynn and I would look at his picture and say, poor Art Slaughter. We did this every year from 1990 to 1994, while we waited for Gun Peterson to acquire a few readers. About 1992, I looked at the catalog and said to Lynn, poor Art Slaughter. And Lynn looked back at me and said, we are Art Slaughter. So Lynn got it before I did. But that's kind of the big brother's job, isn't it? This is all supposed to be leading up to Peace Like a River. It's taking a while to get there. I guess you just can't pin down where a book comes from. I think it comes from everything that ever happened around you, everything you ever noticed, everything you ever thought about. There's a question Swede asks in the story. She says, is it hubris to believe we all live epics? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's hubris.
So first, though, to Bow Bells. Does anybody in Bow Bells have a question related to the topic? Do you think this book will relate better to males or females?
Well, that's kind of a tricky question. I don't know, though. What do you think? You think this relates better to men or women?
Really, women?
Women. Why?
Because it's about, like, gushy stuff.
That's the first accusation of gushy I remember. Gushy stuff. I thought it was kind of non-gushy actually, but that's okay. I mean, there's some terrible violence in it. There's a couple of shootings early on. There's some there's a guy that gets dumped into a burning coal vein. I don't know. I thought it was kind of macho in some places. Davy is hardly the gushy type, you know. Effete is not what Davy is. They asked me to talk a little bit about writing in general. They said talk a little about the process, and I'm glad to do that because I have only a little to say about it, 10 minutes worth, I think. Writing fiction, for me, most closely resembles a certain type of musicianship, which will make sense, I think, in a minute or two. A few years ago, I started playing bass in our church band. We practice Wednesday nights and we play on Sunday mornings. We're just a little bitty band in a very small church. And we're very raw material, but we have a good time. Sometimes we play church music and sometimes we play rock and roll. But the best thing that I have learned from it is playing in church is different from performing. In a church band, you're not a performer. You are more of a servant. And servants have a different set of obligations than performers do. Servants are supposed to do their work and get out of the way. Servants deflect attention instead of attracting it. When you play in a church band, the best thing you can be is actually invisible. Are there any other bass players in the house? Anybody here play bass guitar? Anybody? Closet bassists? No? Okay. A bass player's job is to go down low and lay a foundation for the song. Most people don't actually hear what you do. You're just putting a bottom on the music to make it more full. People don't actually notice. Even if you play a wrong note, they don't really notice. It's really nice. They just feel kind of a disturbance in the force. You just lock onto the drummer and play your notes. You play one note at a time. It's a very subservient role inside the song. Who's seen the movie That Thing You Do? Okay, remember the bass player? Remember how you never learn his name? Yeah, one of the great true details of that movie. Now, my suspicion is that it goes against our nature to be invisible. Just speaking for myself, I enjoy a certain amount of attention. I'm the indulged youngest of the family. It's been suggested to me. I was glad to be asked to give a talk at the historic Fargo Theater. I'm not proud of this, but it's true the last 3 sentences began with the personal pronoun. A while ago, I saw a t-shirt at a music store. It had a picture of a Fender jazz bass on the front. On the back, it said, "More of me in the monitor." And that sort of nails it, I think. To some extent, we probably all want more of me in the monitor. But my hunch is that most of the time writers are servants and have, therefore, servant obligations to be invisible, to deflect as much as possible. Madeleine L'Engle, who wrote a great book called A Wrinkle in Time and a lot of other good books, called this idea serving the work. So here's how I see those servant obligations. This is not definitive. I'm sure other writers see this differently, but this is my speech. First, you're obliged to be truthful. That is, to consider your characters and build your story from inside their concerns and ambitions instead of your own. I don't want to sound academic or too writerly, but in order to work honestly, I have to create characters from a perspective of love. I don't know how this works for anybody else. It's hard for me to write a character believably or convincingly if I don't already bear that character a lot of fondness right at the beginning. If you start out fond of your characters, I think you naturally endow them with a certain amount of free will. So they might turn out to be good, they might turn out to be wicked, or they might go gradually from one to the other. But if I start out saying, oh, okay, here's my bad guy, I'm just going to make him as hateful as I can, that doesn't work for me. I can't seem to write realistically that way. I heard a writer a couple of years ago say, you know, that's nonsense. I just tell my characters what to do and they do it. And boy, that would be useful, but it doesn't seem to work well for me. There's a really bad man in my book named Jape Walter. And I've had people say, well, right, I bet you don't care much for Jape. On the contrary. The truth is, I love Jape. I made him up and turned him loose. How could I not love him? Second, you're obliged to entertain your readers, not to improve them. There will always be arguments about this, and there probably should be. A year or two ago, I was watching the Oscars and heard a director accepting his little statuette, and he was saying he believed that art was not a mirror to reflect your audience, but a hammer to shape your audience. Wow, I guess I don't have that much self-confidence or self-assurance. In fact, it kind of scares me when somebody else does. So there's room for disagreement, but until somebody convinces me otherwise, I'm going to view the old artistic obligation a little less ambitiously. I want to get people interested and keep them interested. Make them lean forward into the story. You owe them, if nothing else, a little fascination, a little delight. One of my favorite American novels is True Grit by Charles Portis. Most of you have probably seen the John Wayne movie at one time or another. I like the movie, but I love the book, and I want to finish tonight by reading one of its best scenes. Okay, here's Rooster Cogburn. I'll set this up briefly. Rooster Cogburn and these guys are traveling, and they stop for a while and get some hard old corn biscuits out of their saddlebags. These are tough lawmen. They're chasing after a gang of killers, and in the middle of the day, in the middle of nowhere, here's what happens. Rooster was holding a bottle with a little whiskey in it. He said, "You keep thinking that." He drained off the whiskey in 3 swallows and tapped the cork back in and tossed the bottle up in the air. He pulled his revolver and fired at it twice and missed. The bottle fell and rolled, and Rooster shot at it 2-3 more times and broke it on the ground. He got out his sack of cartridges and reloaded the pistol. He said, "The Chinaman is running them cheap shells in on me again." LaBeef said, "I thought maybe the sun was in your eyes, that is to say, your eye." Rooster swung the cylinder back in his revolver and said, "Eyes, is it? I'll show you eyes." He jerked the sack of corn dodgers free from his saddle baggage. He got one of the dodgers out and flung it in the air and fired at it and missed. Then he flung another one up and he hit it. The corn dodger exploded. He was pleased with himself and got a fresh bottle of whiskey from his baggage and treated himself to a drink. LaBeef pulled one of his revolvers and got 2 dodgers out of the sack and tossed them both up. He fired very rapidly, but he only hit one. Captain Finch tried it with 2 and missed both of them. Then he tried it with 1 and made a successful shot. Rooster shot at 2 and hit 1. They drank whiskey and used up about 60 corn dodgers that way. None of them ever hit 2 at one throw with a revolver, but Captain Finch finally did it with his Winchester repeating rifle, with somebody else throwing. It was entertaining for a while, but there was nothing educational about it. I grew more and more impatient with them. I said, "Come on, I've had my bait of this. I'm ready to go. Shooting cornbread out here on this prairie is not taking us anywhere." By then, Rooster was using his rifle, and the captain was throwing for him. "Chunk high and not so far out this time," said he. You know, it doesn't have a thing to do with the plot. But it's just exactly what these old guys would do. They've been riding for days. corn biscuits are old and nasty, been in the saddlebags for a long time. So Portis, because he is one of these writers who's always just heaving the windows open so that delight can fly in, gives these guys the extreme pleasure of just letting them shoot corn dodgers and drink whiskey for half a page. The author, Charles Portis, has vanished. He's disappeared. He's serving the work. He's just laying down a baseline, kind of. And all we see is a couple guys out on the prairie shooting at corn dodgers. I have no idea what this does for you. When I read Portis, I get so happy I feel kind of tall. I don't get that kind of delight in a book fueled by cynicism or outrage or social concern. I get something else from that kind of book, but not delight. Great quote by W.H. Auden that boils this down pretty well, then I'm out of time. Auden talked about being approached by young aspiring poets, and he would ask them why they wanted to be poets. Auden said, if the young man answers, I have important things I want to say, then he is not a poet. If he says, I like hanging around words, listening to what they say, then maybe he will become a poet. My time is up. Thanks for coming out, and thanks for letting me come here and speak.